Right, in this video we're going to look at factorizing quadratics using the quadratic formula as per request from Chief Dylan. So first of all we're looking at, here's our quadratic, 3x squared plus 9x plus 5 is equal to 0. We're told that we want to use the quadratic formula to solve. Now if you're using the quadratic formula in an exam, it will be on paper 2 or paper 3. You won't be asked to use this on a non-calculator exam, because to solve it we will need to use a calculator. First step will be to label our variables and our terms. So number in front of the x squared is always going to be our a value, number in front of the x is our b, and the number without any variable is c. The formula you need to know, and you need to know it off by heart, it won't be given to you in an exam. X is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So once we've stated that, it's a case of simply substituting into it. When you do substitute in, be very careful, because you see we've got a lot of negative terms here. So x is equal to minus 9 plus or minus the square root. B squared will be 9 squared minus 4. 4ac means 4 times a times c. A is 3 and c is 5. And that is all over 2a, which is 2 lots of 3. Now evaluating this, we've got x is equal to minus 9 plus or minus the square root. 9 squared is 81 minus 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 5 is 60. And that's all over 2 times 3, which is 6. At this point we're going to have to do what we have inside the root first. So x is equal to minus 9 plus or minus the square root of 21. And that's all being divided by 6. You'll notice now at this point we don't know what the square root of 21 is. It's a cube number, or sorry, it's a third. So using our calculator and first splitting it up, actually, because we've got this plus minus, we're going to have two different solutions. We're going to have x is equal to minus 9. Let's go with plus root 21 divided by 6. Or x could be equal to minus 9 minus root 21 divided by 6. So simply acknowledging this plus or minus here, it could be either one. So we'll have to evaluate and work out both of them. As I started to mention earlier, root 21 is a third. We don't know what the square root 21 is, so this is where we'll need our calculator. And I would advise putting all this in at once into your calculator. So we've got minus 9 plus root 21 equals, so that's the numerator in my fraction here, and rather than lose any accuracy by writing this down and then dividing by 6 afterwards, we'll divide by 6 straight away. So that's what x equals to as my first solution. And note that that is a negative, so negative 0.736237,384. We were asked to round it to 2 decimal places, but make sure you write down all the digits first to ensure you get those marks in case we make a rounding error later on. Our other solution for x, we do exactly the same thing, only this time we need to subtract the root 21. So it's again minus 9 subtract root 21, and that equals minus 13.58, etc. Again, we'll divide it by 6 straight away so we don't lose any accuracy, and that is our solution this time. X is equal minus 2.2 63762616. Finally, our last solution, or our last task, is to round these to 2 decimal places as was asked in our question. So on the first one, second decimal place is the 3, circle the digit after it. So x is equal to minus 0.74. And with our other solution, underline the 6, that's the second decimal place. Circle the digit after it. 3 is less than 5, so 6 stays the same. X is equal to minus 2.27. Sorry, 6. So minus 2.26. And that is how you solve or factorize a quadratic using the quadratic formula. We'll do one more. And we'll do this one in particular. We're asked to do the same thing, but this time we've got a negative a term and a negative b term. So that's going to make it a little bit trickier when we're evaluating, taking extra care with those negatives. So labeling it first, that's our a term. Our b term is minus 1, and our c term is the plus 2. So the formula being x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, and that's all being divided by 2a. So substituting in, x is equal to minus, and it's a minus 1, so it's minus 1. Do write it like that. Later on that will turn into a positive 1. Plus or minus root, again taking care with your negatives here, it's a minus 1 squared minus 4 times a term, the a term is a minus 2, multiplied by the c term, which is a positive 2. And this is all being divided by 2 lots of minus 2. So x is equal to minus 1 is a positive 1, plus or minus square root. Minus 1 squared is minus 1 times minus 1, so that's going to be a positive 1. Minus, we'll take this one slowly, it's going to be 4 times minus 2, which is minus 8. Minus 8 times 2 is minus 16. So it's minus 16. 2 times minus 2 is minus 4. We still need to tidy up this inside our surd, or inside our root, before we can do any more. So x is equal to plus 1 plus or minus root. Now this minus 16 becomes a positive 16. So it's positive 16 plus 1, and that is root 17. We simplify as much as we can before we use a calculator. So we're going to have two solutions. X is equal to plus 1 plus root 17 divided by minus 4. Or x could be plus 1 minus root 17 over 4. And that's a minus 4. So again, back to our calculators at this stage. We have got 1 plus root 17. There's your answer. But again, so we don't lose any accuracy, we'll divide by 4. And it was a negative 4, so it'll be a negative 1.280776406. And that's one of our solutions. The second solution, we're going to have to subtract the third. So it's 1 minus root 17 which gives us this negative number on top. Be careful on this one, we've got a negative now being divided by another negative, so divided by, this time I will put in the negative 4, so it should give us a positive answer, and there you go, it's going to be a positive 0.78. So our solution is x equals 0.780776406. And last step, don't forget with your rounding, we're asked to round to 2 decimal places. So underline the 8, circle the 0. 0 is less than 5, so 1 to 8 into 8. X equals minus 1.28, that's our first solution. And the second solution, again, second decimal place is an 8. Circle the 0. So 0.78 is our second solution. And that is factorising quadratic using the quadratic formula. This one with some negative, and you see, very easy to go wrong. Make sure at that bottom it is a negative 4, so you're dividing by a negative, and vice versa all the way along.